My name is Patricia Wells Solorzano, and I was born in Brawley, California, a small town located 25 miles north of Mexicali, Baja California, Mexico. My father was born in Calexico and raised in Mexicali. My mother was born in Brawley and raised on both sides of the border. I mention this because my roots reflect the U.S.-Mexico border cultures, but Spanish was my first language. This language, taught to me by my parents and grandparents, would have a lot of meaning in my life. During the week, my parents worked in Brawley, and me, my brother and sister went to school. Every Friday, after my father came home from work, we would drive to my paternal grandmother's house in Mexicali, where we would stay while my parents enjoyed their evening social life with their friends. Abuelita, grandmother Loreto, was a descendant of the Yaqui Indian tribes from Sonora. She was a wonderful storyteller and a school teacher. Abuelita Loreto taught me the Spanish alphabet. The first word she taught me to write was my name. Through the years, she sparked my imagination with fantastic stories, cuentos, and then she would speak of Mexico's great heroes and heroines, including her beloved Sor Juana Inés de la Cruz, a brilliant young female writer from the 17th century who became a nun to be able to continue her studies and write. I remember the traumatic moment when my mother, who had told me we were going a la tienda, to the store, abandoned me in kindergarten the first day. I kicked and screamed bloody murder. 2 women held me down. It was not pretty, but now it's kind of funny when you think about it. I guess I was going to be trouble somewhere along the way. As time went along, there seemed to be contradictions in the 2 completely different stories about the history of Mexico and the U.S. Grandmother's wonderful forefathers of Mexico, the famous Miguel Hidalgo y Costilla, the good priest who awakened the nation, a man who fought for the poor and for Mexico's sovereignty from Spain. Pancho Villa, Emiliano Zapata, they were los nuestros, she said. They were our heroes. And she would say, no se te olvide, mija. Don't forget this, my little one. Yet in school, maybe we had 1 paragraph about Pancho Villa. There we were, 25 miles north of the physical border, and there were 2 stories that didn't match. It was confusing for me, not really knowing my true identity, because my heart was with Grandma in Mexicali, but my future was with my parents in the U.S. I loved and embraced Mexican music. My grandma would dance with me as she played short play records. She taught me to read and write, and most importantly, to respect my teacher, who was going to impart her or his knowledge with me and should be held in the highest regard. She gave me a great sense of who I would become. She would say to me, Mijita, yo voy a llegar al milenio. My little one, I am going to live to the year 2000. I would take a deep sigh and feel secure. She would smile and take me to the next little project. Grandma died on November 11th, 2000. She was almost 100 years old. May she rest in peace. I was a sophomore in high school when a white teacher, a woman who had grown up with Mexicans and Chicanos in Texas, opened a Chicano literature class. It was 1971, and the civil rights movement had taken place. But the school system did not change. School teacher Marcia Logsdon felt that we young people should know a little about our own heroes from Mexico and the U.S. She brought in books like With His Pistol in His Hand, A Ballad and Its Hero by Americo Paredes, the story about Gregorio Cortés, the story of Joaquin Murrieta, the Robin Hood of the poor in the San Joaquin Valley during the 1850s, and so many people I had never heard of. Amongst the books was a large magazine-sized red book with the title El Teatro Campesino, Los Actos. I couldn't believe what I saw. People who looked like me, doing theater about identity and social justice. This affected me deeply. For the first time in my young life, I felt I had found something to hold on to, something to identify with. In my wildest dreams, I never imagined that years later I would meet Agustin Lira and that he would become my teacher in music and theater. I also never imagined that I would end up touring the country and playing music about history and about being Chicanos in this country. Life is full of surprises and opportunities to follow what we are most drawn to. I learned that it's important to never stop asking questions, no matter what. We need to think of learning as a lifelong study, a path that will always enlighten us if we follow it. We have to learn how to value and respect ourselves first as individuals, and we need to ensure that the fight for social justice never dies, that it becomes important in all our lives, how we treat each other and Mother Earth. This is the only way that we can save the planet and create peace and understanding between all people.